This is an Akashic reading for healing heart. And I'm going to go ahead and start by surrounding myself in light. And I'm also seeing you surrounded in light. All right. Hmm. Okay, so there have definitely been some peculiarities with your reading. This is my third attempt at this reading. Now, I read you before, and this didn't happen with our first email reading. I connected with your guides pretty easily, and then the second time when I went into the reading for this reading, so the video reading, I connected with your guides very clearly. But then there was no audio, which has never happened before. And we were trying to figure out, what happened, why there was no audio, and I could not get the audio to come up where you could hear it at all. So then, just a bit ago, I went into the reading a second time, and when I went into the reading, I surrounded myself in light, and right away, something which felt similar to a guide came up, but it was definitely not a guide. It was a highly advanced thought form, is what it was. And sometimes they can seem like guides, and you had multiple ones of these around you, which were coming in and attempting to interfere with the reading. And so I'm coming into it again, and I'm a little more ready for that. But there was a lot of good information during the first reading. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of that. So where do I start here? Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about thoughts here first. Um, first, I'm gonna say something that your guide said. Something that your guide said in the first attempt without the audio. When I did have a very clear connection with them, one thing that they were saying was that because one of your questions is why am I having such a hard time connecting with them, with your guides? I'm getting the hands plain as day, but can't seem to get anything in meditation. So, one thing that your guides came through with during the first reading was that they're actually blocked on their end as well. They said that. They said that it wasn't just you experiencing the block on your end, they were actually also experiencing a block with communicating with you. And that's what they said. They said it had nothing to do with you like them not being around you. Like you even said in one of your emails recently, you know, there's nobody here. Like, where are my guides? They went off to spirit world or something. Um, well, guides don't do that, and they were even saying that. Like guides are always connected with their person. It doesn't mean that they don't have lives, you know, they're people, they have lives, they do other things, but they're so advanced mentally that even if they're doing some other things that don't have to do with the person that they are guiding, still part of them is always with that person. That's how advanced they are. And that's why they're able to be a guide. That's why they're able to guide you, because they are so advanced mentally that they can be connected with you at all times telepathically, even if they are doing something else as well. So they are always around you. They are always aware of you and what you're doing, how you're feeling, what you're thinking. And that is, you know, that might sound almost intrusive to some people, but it's really not. You know, there are guides. And that's the way it's supposed to be. We've contracted with them, whoever our guides are, we've contracted with them to assist us in our life. And so they have that right and that access. And not only that, but they need to know what we're thinking and what we're feeling and what's happening with us at all times. They need to understand us, and you know your guides understand you more than anyone else. They're around you 24/7. So even in the reading though, they were saying, you know, we haven't gone anywhere, we're always around you. You're never alone, we're never not around you. It's just that they there is a block with the communications. So they did say that in the reading. And another thing that you said here, yeah, in the second question, um, you say that you get feelings like, now hurry up, and then 20 minutes later it's slow down, don't rush. And then you followed that with, what the hell, who's in charge over there? And when I read it, you know, I just was scanning the questions. I'm not, you know, I'm not thinking about anything, and I wasn't prepared for this to happen, you know. I'm just thinking, okay, he needs a little help connecting with his guides, whatever. And but yeah, so the thing is that you have, it's almost like you have two sets of guides. And this this sounds bad, but honestly, it's very common. Okay, you are just feeling it lately. But a lot of people receive mixed messages and don't understand why. And this is why. It's because you have your real guides, and then you have these thought forms. Okay, and we've spoken about, Wolf and I have spoken about thought forms in readings before, and the council has taught so much about thought forms. And in depth. I mean, we have a whole course on this thing, and I'm sure we'll come up with more. But there are 3 stages of thought forms, okay? And the last stage is an identity stage. That's what they call it. They call it identity, where you identify with it. And basically, when it's identity level, it is highly conscious. So it's been there for so long, or it's so advanced and has gained so much energy over time, or it gained a lot of energy over a shorter period of time. It's gained so much energy that now it's basically an entity. And the reason that they still classify it as a thought form is because it still needs you to survive. It's still attached to you, and it can't break away. Like an entity can just go off and be on its own. It doesn't need to basically, the analogy that is kind of coming to me. I don't want to freak people out with this analogy, but it does describe it really well. Okay, like I said, this is common, so this is not some oh my god or whatever. This is just something that most people are just not really aware of, or they're experiencing it, but they don't understand that they're experiencing it. But I don't know if you've seen Harry Potter, okay? But in the first one, in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, there is a part at the end where there is a man who was teaching at the school. He was one of the professors that year, and he is helping this Lord Voldemort to get a body. And Voldemort doesn't have a body, and so he is like leeched on to this professor on the back of his head. And so this is the way that he is getting energy to survive. And so it's kind of similar to that. It's like they are conscious to a very high degree. They are thinking. They are a thinking consciousness. They can think on their own. So they're beyond like a more simple belief, because of the amount of energy that you've given them, and because of how long you have had them. Okay, you've probably had these for lifetimes. You probably created them in a long time ago. So they've been with you for perhaps several lifetimes, and they've grown, but they still have to be attached to you in order to get energy. And when you agree with them, you give them energy. Okay, so when they reach entity level, sometimes they can feel like a guide, or sorry, not entity level, identity level. When they reach that level, they can often feel like a guide. And so in a sense, they're like a false guide. And so they can guide you intuitively, similarly to how a guide can. And they've been with you for a long time, so they will feel familiar. So sometimes they will feel like a guide. And so this is why there are these back and forth messages like this. And so, simply put, these things have just got to be cleared out. And that might take a long time. That might take a little while, because you have probably had these things for a very long time. And also, there's also the fact that you have to figure out what it is that they control you with. Why are you still feeding them? How are you giving them energy? Okay, sip of water. Okay, so there's a little about thought forms, and then I am going to talk to you some about the first reading, because I did feel, like I said, that I know I had a very clear connection with your actual guides, and there were some things that I felt were very helpful that came through. One thing that came up was your guides in the very first reading you got, the email reading. They had talked about karma, and that there was this feeling like you had gotten kind of mired here. Like originally you came from somewhere else, and so you're a star seed. Originally you came from, you know, some other places, and you were in going to other planets having lives, and now you are kind of stuck having lives here, and you would like to kind of move on. And that's what they were saying. You were kind of mired here because of karma, lessons that you have to learn. Not karma like a punishment. Karma, just like there are some things that you have to learn. So what you were saying, like, you know, what did I do that was so bad? What did I do that was so horrible that I'm stuck here? It really isn't like that. Karma can sometimes be like that. But most of the time, I mean, I've read a lot of people with a lot of past lives, and I've only ever had 2 lives where there was actually any kind of almost punishment. Like, you did this and now that is going to happen. And like I said, I've read a lot of lives, so that's pretty rare. That isn't as common. It does happen. But what is more common is what your guides were coming through with, which was, it wasn't a punishment. It wasn't any kind of punishment. It's just lessons that have to be learned. And a lot of times, what seems to be the case is that I'll read a lifetime, and basically it's just, there was so much energy gathered in the lifetime, whether it's mental and emotional or even physical. It's like things happen, like traumatic things happen that really just give you a lot of energy, and that's what almost grounds you to a place, as far as lessons that have to be learned. Like the energy almost has to be undone. So yeah, it's not a punishment. It's not a punishment. It's more a release of energy. That's more the way that it has to be looked at. You just have some energies that have to be released and have to be pushed out of you. And actually, even though it's an Akashic reading, and normally almost always, you know, there are multiple lives, so you can say that this is a multiple past life reading. But actually, in that first take anyway, there was only one lifetime that came through, and they spent a lot of time on it. And the thing is, yeah, in your first reading, so they talked about karma and stuff, and like I said, there was this feeling of being like mired here, and I guess just because of how intense it felt, and how kind of grounded it felt, I assumed that it was back much further Okay, and I thought maybe there was even a bit more karma with it, or maybe multiple lifetimes. But they focused on one, and it actually wasn't that long ago. It felt like maybe 17 or 1800s. And some of that wasn't even a feeling. Some of that was actually mostly logical because of what they were showing me. It seemed like it probably would have been 17 or 1800s, the time period. Um, because in the life that they were showing me, you were an Indian, and you were a Native American, and you you were born around the time when white people started settling out west, and they started taking over, and they were going to war with the Indians. And so you when you were around 20 or so, it was like your childhood was really great, and you were extremely connected with nature, and you were very connected with the earth, and it was a peaceful time for you. There was peace, but at the same time, there's this energy kind of in the background of this that could be felt, and by everybody, maybe not by you because you were a kid, okay, but by the leaders of this tribe, by the adults, people who knew that something was coming. And by the time you're around 20 or so, around that age, young adult, you they were showing me they were showing me an image of you sitting in like a circle with some other people from your tribe, and these there were elders there, and they were speaking about going to war. And so then basically you went to war, and they were describing this energy of you're young and you're going to war and you're fighting, and there's this resistance, but at the same time, it's for a good reason, it's for a good purpose. They said that you, it's like you were fighting, all of you were fighting for everything that you had. It wasn't about just a territory or a place. It was about your way of life and your way of being, because these people were completely different from you. They didn't honor the earth, and they were totally unlike you. And if they were to take over, it would totally destroy your way of life. So it felt like more than just a takeover or something. This was And this was more than just death. It was like a way of life for generations to follow as well. And so an energy, though, that they also came through with was this feeling of pride, and there was all this kind of adrenaline and hype in a way. And a lot of it was actually positive. It felt like almost like glory. And there was like a patriotic kind of feeling with it. And then you're defeated, and there's the complete opposite energy. It just like tumbled, and you are in this sequestered place. That was a word they kept coming in with. You're in this sequestered place, and you felt so confined, whereas previously you had all this land and all this territory, and you were not confined at all. And you were riding horses, and everything was just free. Everything felt free. And now there's this opposite. And another thing that they came in with was that you know you you were empathic, And a lot of the Native Americans would have been empathic because of how open they were, how sensitive they were with their connection to the earth and their connection to nature in general. And so you were more open and you were definitely empathic. And so you have this group of people who have all been free, and now they're in this sequestered place, and they're basically being captured and enslaved and treated in a very negative way, treated like they're less than these other people very much. And there were all these people who were very sad and weeping. And so there was a lot of emotions. And so you weren't just feeling your emotion, you're feeling all these other emotions too. And you're soaking that in. And so there was just a lot of energy. And it was after that point that you struggled with going somewhere else. It was after that point that you had a lot of things here that you had to clear before you could move on. So it was actually a more recent life. It wasn't as long ago as I was originally figuring that it must have been. So it is actually more recent. Okay, and the council's reminding me there were also some things that your guides are coming through with to help you clear the energy. Oh, that's right. Yeah. There was an exercise that your guides came through with. A little more water. So there was an exercise that your guides came through with, and the exercise, well, it focused on the heart chakra, and this was an area they were focusing on a lot because it contained the most energy, and then also the third eye and the solar plexus. And I'll talk more about that later. But this exercise, okay, that's right. That's right. They're just reminding me of stuff that had come through in that reading. So one of the things that your guide said was, yeah, it was like you took in all of this energy like this. And so it's like your chakras kind of engulfed some of this energy. And so they really closed. And so they were saying that you need to open your chakras up really, really wide so that they can start releasing all of this toxic energy. So you have to be open energetically to release it. Now, another thing that they said was that from this lifetime, like I said, there was all this glory, 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 and whoa, we're going to war and we're going to defend everything. And then we're captured, and it's this horrible, awful shit feeling. And so it was like this up and then this down. And your guides are saying that it kind of led in lives to follow, it kind of led to this feeling of that same thing, like, yay, I'm so excited about this thing, and so there's almost this pattern. And even in the first reading, I remember your guides came in through with the word struggle. And on the one hand, you have this really kid-like energy where it's like anything can happen. And isn't this great? But on the other hand, everything is this struggle. And they were coming in the first reading. It's almost like, for instance, you're working really, really hard, just as a for instance. Yeah, you're working really, really hard and to get like this promotion, and you know you're going to get it, and then wham, you don't get the promotion. It's like there's this energy that kind of shows up sometimes, but then because of that, there's another energy that follows that then says, don't try, don't don't want to improve, don't want to really grow, or if I put my foot out there in the water, is the shark gonna come, basically? If you get really excited uh, about something, is it going to come through? um, so yeah, this caused this almost this up and down kind of energy like this, as far as what you're able to manifest. And so one of the things that we're coming through with is that you need to be open to things going well, and you need to remain feeling good and positive about things going well. But at the same time, they also said not to suppress the feelings that it might not go well, or any fears that something might not go well. It's not about suppressing, because you don't want to take any more energy in, or hold it. You want to release it. You want to let it go. So those feelings need to be released, and when they come up, you need to realize that you need to release them. So not just feel them in this way, like, oh my god, like feel, like let them come up with the intent you will release them, but not to just be in them, or stay in them, because that's going to counteract anything positive that you are putting out. Another thing was, they were saying, they know that you are positive. They're not saying that you're just some negative person. Because like they even said in the first reading, you have a very kid-like energy. You have a very joyful energy and a very joyful expression of your energy. So they're not just saying, oh, you're this pessimistic, really negative person, but at the same time, they were saying to watch out for excuse me, for these subconscious fears that want to kind of rear their ugly head, and want to talk, and want to feel, okay, and give you these thoughts and these feelings, to look out for that and to work on removing them. Okay, so your guides were saying, yeah, that you need to open your chakras as wide as they can go. And so they were saying to go all the way up, all 7 of the chakras. They were saying especially to focus on the heart, and then the third eye and solar plexus. Those were the 3, and the heart being the number 1 that you should really focus on. But they said to do all 7. And they said to keep doing this exercise, to not stop doing the exercise if you saw a little improvement, to keep doing it, because there's a lot of energy that has to come out. But they were saying you need to visualize them opening as far as they can go. And what they were showing me was, because a lot of the time chakras are seen as flowers, and that's how people visualize them, and they see the petals opening, or they see the petals closing, but there's a lot of energy kind of going like this on your chakras. And so they said that you need to see the petals going so far that they actually bend the other way, where they're bending like this, and you need to basically see energy just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting out of them, where it's filling your entire room. Wherever you are, it's filling the entire area. And you go up each one and see this. But what they were saying was that, yeah, there is this energy of going up, and then going down and kind of crashing. So what they said was, if you leave it out there like this, then later on in the day, it's going to end up just coming way back in. And so that's not really going to help. So they said what you need to do is you need to visualize it going out very far, and then you need to purposefully bring it back in and see it coming into about a foot around you, and to visualize it with a feeling of it being a very solid and permanent structure, like a wall. And also what they said was, this is not only going to help you, I gotta turn my heater off. This is not only going to help you with clearing this out and opening these chakras so they can release this energy, but this is also just going to protect you empathically. Okay, right. And that was another thing that came in. They were saying that you are empathic and that you have healing abilities also. And they were also mentioning, they talked a lot about it actually. I don't remember everything that they said about this, but they were talking about how you want to be of service to others, and you want to be fair to others, and that some injustices kind of, you don't like them and you would want to change them, and you want people to be treated in a fair way. And they were saying that these ideals, this way of feeling about those around you, that people are equal, beings are equal. Some of this came from that native life also, because you were very connected to Earth. And so they were saying, you know, you have gifts from that lifetime too. It's not all bad. You also have gifts from that lifetime because of how connected you were to Mother Earth and Father Sky and nature around you, and also to the humans around you. There was harmony with them. There wasn't all of this chaos and buildings and concrete and miscommunication. So there was a lot of harmony there, because there was a lot of harmony with the earth, and that's why there was harmony with one another. So you did come in with healing abilities, and you did come in with the ability to counsel others, and healing ability with your hands also. So this is physical and mental, emotional, and energetic. Bringing, you know, energies back into alignment. That's very easy to do with energy healing abilities, with like Reiki and things like that. Yeah, and also counseling others, and this feeling of wanting to help others and be of service to others. This all comes from that life, and it comes from abilities that you acquired during that lifetime. So again, it isn't all bad what happened to you there, but you had a very bad experience. You were in a very bad situation, and like I said, you not only felt your feelings, but those around you, you felt their feelings. And okay, and they're reminding me, yeah, then it was like the third part of the life. So there was the childhood, and then you're, you know, around 20 or so in there, and you are fighting, you're at war, and then there's this next stage where you are captured and feeling all this defeat and all this crap. And then there's this next stage where basically in that stage you kind of gave up a bit and you kind of settled. And what they were showing me was that you were actually living with them. You were actually living with the white people. And they were showing me like schools. There were these schools where like Native American children and young adults were going, and they were getting formal white educations. And there there were just feelings about that. And there is a obviously a distant feeling, um, because you're in this place now, like I said, that has all this concrete, and where everybody is very formal, and nobody is so free and let go like you were. That's what you were experiencing. And even their view of God is more rigid and formatted to be in a certain structure. So you're living in this place with all these structures set in place. Not that your society had no structure, but it was structured more harmoniously, where people could more be themselves and just feel freer, more connected, like I said. So this presented a disconnection. But then there was this feeling of just kind of settling. Because that's the thing. In that lifetime, the situation you were in, there just really was this feeling of there's no hope. It can't go back to the way it was. It can't be any different than it is now. And so I have to just settle here. I have to just become settled and be okay with it. And so that caused a lot of suppression too, suppression of feelings. And what's the point of feeling them? What's the point of feeling sorry about them? So there were a lot of feelings coming up in this life. And so because this was a little bit more recent, probably only a couple of lives back, and they are a bit more current. Okay, so they want to talk about where these thought forms. Okay, they're actually saying that all of these came from that lifetime. These identities, which is probably why they would want to really interfere with this reading and not so much the email reading. In the email reading, it wasn't an Akashic reading. We weren't going into your past lives where they were created, and we weren't asking these questions like, what is this karma? How do I remove it? What do I do to clear it? You weren't asking about clearing those. You were asking a little bit lighter things that weren't going to affect them so much. Okay, so then in this one we have these issues with the audio and these different things, because like I said, even though they're thought form, they are basically entity level, and so they can influence things like this. So yeah, this did come from that lifetime. Now I do have a guide coming up, and this is an actual guide, and I can tell from the feeling this is one that came up during the first reading also. But there are still these other things that want to interfere with this connection. So even though I feel it, I'm mostly just gonna stick with the council. They can communicate with your guides for me and tell me what they're saying, what they want to do. But I am gonna pull some cards here. I don't normally use this deck. I don't even ever bring it over, but for some reason I felt to, and now I'm feeling to use it. But I'm not sure why, because these are newer cards, and so I don't have all the meanings memorized yet. So I might have to look at the book. I don't know. Or maybe not. I know what some of the cards mean pretty well. Okay, so okay, so I pulled the green man here. And one thing that they are saying right away with this card is, again, they're talking about your connection to the earth and nature from that lifetime, but they're also talking about wisdom. They're saying that you are an old soul, but also that really came through in this lifetime. So your soul really developed in this lifetime. This was a very important lifetime for you. Okay, they do want me to look at the book too, so I'm going to see if I get anything from the book's meaning of it also. Okay, so another thing that pops out to me from this is it's talking about life force, and so that's another thing. Your youth during that lifetime, it really sprung up when you were a child, and even when you were a young adult. It got a little bit more serious, obviously, but still there was this sense that you can do anything that you want, which you still have now, a lot of that. But some of that was really coming through in that reading. They're saying singing for some reason. It was just singing through during that lifetime. So again, there are a lot of gifts that came through in that lifetime, and they want to make that obvious. They want to be clear on that. Even though, this is bad in some ways, you have thought forms around you from the lifetime. You felt intense things. You took in energies that almost, in a way, grounded you here. Still, when you move on, you are going to have this experience as something to pull from. So this is not all bad. There's a lot of good actually that came out of the experience and from the experience. If you look at it in that way, what can it teach you? What did it teach you? And what are you learning now from it? Okay, now how do we clear these thought forms? That's what we're specifically going to ask now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use my other cards. I'm a bit clearer on the meaning of these. So that was the only card that they wanted to use for that deck. But here we go. Okay, one almost fell out. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them. Okay, which ones do I pick? Am I doing? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take all three of these. Ah! They're all popping around everywhere. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, okay, the first, okay, I'll go ahead and show you these cards. Okay, so this is Geo the Slow. Okay, and again, they're speaking about this energy where you're kind of mired in this. This is Gotcha, and he's really like the Tower card. If you're familiar at all with tarot, he's very similar to the Tower, where there's a lot of upheaval. So this is speaking about the emotions from that life. How there was this uprooting of one way of being, and it totally changed everything in a way that was irreversible. You couldn't go back the other way. That is what Gotcha is about. And then this is the Master Maker. Now he is grounded to the earth, but one thing that your guides came through within the reading also previously that they're reminding me of is that one thing that they said was, this isn't about being ungrounded. You'll remain grounded. They're not trying to remove your groundedness, because being grounded is very good. You want to be grounded. You just don't want to be stuck. You don't want to be mired in this clay-like energy. Oh, and they're reminding me now at the beginning of that reading, your guide, who was actually an angel. She was a female angel, but at first she was taking on almost a mother goddess kind of energy, and it felt like a Mother Earth energy very much. And there again, kind of a Native American almost energy, but very much a Mother Earth energy. And she came up and she hugged you and she put her arm around you like this. And she looked almost like she was made out of like clay. She looked very fairyish, and was coming in with a more kind of Mother Goddess fairy kind of energy. but then she was actually an angel. She was just coming in with that energy to show this miredness, but also the connection to the earth, and that like groundedness is not a bad thing. And so they don't want to remove your groundedness or your centeredness. If anything, they would want to increase that. All they want to do is remove this stuckness. So he is grounded and he is balanced, but he is on top of, you know, this thought form. In this case, that's what she represents underneath him. So he has his foot on that thought form, and that is just under his belt. But one thing that they're saying with this card is that this is a natural cycle. These are meant to be removed, and so you can remove them, you can handle them, because that's almost like a natural part of the cycle. These are lessons that you are supposed to learn. So they're saying that you have the power to do it, and that almost like it's easier than it looks, because you're meant to do it. You are meant to remove them. Oh my God. Okay, almost an hour. Okay, all right. Oops. Okay. Soulless, but I'm going to go ahead and take out another one. Okay. Now this is soulless. And this, I'm going to hold him up here for a second, because this fairy, I really feel his, trying to get it where you can see him well in the lighting, because he's really bright. But I feel his energy very intensely coming out of the card. So that means this is a very important message. This fairy has a very important message for you. And this fairy is all about the sun, the sun's energy, its warmth, its healing. And he's coming in right now with compassion, love, understanding. And I don't understand what you mean by the word requirements. What do you mean by that? But there's so much energy coming off of this card. I normally don't feel, I feel energies from them. That's one thing I love about these cards. They represent beings that were actually coming to the person who made the cards, Brian Froud. And so they are like actual beings that come through the cards. But he's coming through very strongly right now. And then with him is the Pook. And the Pook is all about seeing the good in the bad and the bad in the good. And so with this card, Soulless, who's all about healing and love and compassion, that he's really coming in strongly with right now, and also seeing the light. That's another thing that he's saying. Your guides are really stressing this again, that this is not all bad, that there are good things that came through this as well. And even in your life, the struggles that happened, it is not all bad. there was a lot of good that came from it, and try to see the lesson that it has taught you and that it is teaching you. And that's one of the lessons they're saying. One of the lessons is seeing the bad in the good and the good in the bad, to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but also that there was light through the situation. It's not like you go through the tunnel and boom, there's light. Yes, now I'm out of it. I'm free. Woohoo! And wow, that really sucked. It's even during that situation, even during the tunnel, all through the tunnel, there was actually light that maybe you weren't seeing clearly, or that you weren't fully aware of, or aware of enough to really perceive it. But it was there, shining through the tunnel, shining through it the whole way. They're showing me a car. There's a car going through the tunnel, and oh, it looks more like a van actually. That's that's not really important. But what they're showing me is that even a car, when it drives through the tunnel, has headlights. So there is light. Even when a car is driving through, it can see the next step forward. And so you have to follow the next step forward. And they're saying to keep asking, because they will get through. And sometimes you feel them. That's why there's these confusing messages. So they are there. Doesn't mean they're not there. It means that they are strongly there. Their presence is strongly around you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be feeling them at all in the midst of this other group, you know, that you created in that lifetime. Out of these intense emotions. Okay, so those beings, those thought forms, they were created out of that. They are programmings that manifested out of all of those intense thoughts and emotions and what was happening. And so they're there to remind you of that. Now you're in a present lifetime, so they're not going to be like, oh, you were an Indian and this horrible thing happened. No, they're going to give you feelings regarding this lifetime, so they stay alive. So they adapt, but they still came to you from that lifetime, and they're going to remind you of those feelings. They're going to present those same struggles. They're going to try to get you to attract that, because when you're feeling their thoughts and their when you are thinking their thoughts and feeling their feelings that they're sending you, and you are in this loop, you are going to keep attracting those things. Your mind and your emotions are going to fuel that attraction. And they know that. They know that is going to keep you in this pattern. So they are there to remind you of that, to remind you of the bad, remind you of the struggle. But your guides are saying, look at the good things. Look at what is good. Laugh. You're good at that. You're very good at that. So be positive about it, and always continue to see the light and feel the light and feel the positivity and the love of the situation. Feel the groundedness versus the stuckness. So there is a good thing too, even with that. The connection helped you. The connection to earth has helped you, and it has grounded you. This other thing stuck you, but still you grounded to the earth, and you had a clear connection with her, which you've learned to master. That's why here you still have this connection with your guides. You're still open to them, and you're still feeling them. So it's not all bad. You are feeling them. There's this confusion placed because of who and what are the real guides, and what messages are coming from these false guides. Okay, so I'm going to pull another one. Okay, Arvel Parrot, and he points to his throat chakra. And again, they're reminding me of the block in the throat chakra. That was another one of the ones coming through. There was your third eye and your solar plexus and your heart a lot, but then also this throat was one of the ones that specifically came through in the reading, also as being blocked. Okay, so I'm going to pull another card, and I'm going to ask specifically what they want to say about the block in the throat chakra, because obviously they want to talk about that next. Okay, and I'm going to remove these now. So I'm going to pull another card now to ask specifically about the block in the throat chakra, because obviously they want to talk about that next. So I put the other cards back in the deck, and we just have Arvel Parrot out here now. Okay. I got my rose quartz here with me. So the crystals are helping. These again. These fell out again. Solace, and the Pook. Okay. Wow. All right. So here we go again. The Arvel Parrot is about expression, and how do you remove this block? Here we go again. The good in the bad. See the good in the bad. Speak about the good in the bad. Speak about what's good. Focus on, also mentally, focus on what's good. Express what's good. And go after things with excitement and anticipation. Don't expect them to fall apart, because that's part of this old pattern. So you have to rethink things. And some of this is subconscious too, but if you start clarifying your thoughts and your emotions on a conscious level, that is going to seep through into the subconscious, and it is going to affect those thoughts and feelings that are down there as well. And this is going to help clear it. This is how you need to clear it, but there's something else here too. So what Arvel Parrot is saying is that there is a block in the expression of joy and happiness and positivity, even though you do express it, some of the time. He's just saying not enough. There's got to be more positivity, he's saying. More focusing on the divine. More focusing on the good. Okay. Thank you, Arvel Parrot. Now I'll continue. I'm asking him, can I continue? And he's got to move in his hand like this in the card. Like, okay, go ahead. I love how they're moving the cards sometimes. Okay. Okay, which one am I grabbing? Two fell there and one fell over there. Maybe I'm grabbing all three. Maybe it's all three. Okay, let's see here. Man, you guys keep saying the same things over and over in like 5 different ways. They just seriously want to stress certain things about this lifetime. Okay, because here we go again with the sage. He is all about your connection to the earth, and that you got that from that lifetime. Here we go again with the maiden, who has a very childlike, youthful energy. And so you combined these, and you have the wisdom of a child, you have the wisdom of the elder, and you have the child's youthful energy, and you have the wisdom of a child. So they're saying that you are an old soul and you are also a young soul at the very same time. And then Tobira of the waters. And she is all about emotion and expression. So express feelings out of those energies, out of that old soul energy, and that youthful spirit, the old soul, the wise one, and the young one, the child, the youthful, intelligent one, who it looks at the world openly, like you have. You can clearly see these things very much in your energy, even just from one email with you. It's obvious, you know. All of your chicken butt jokes. No worry, chicken curry, or whatever it was you were saying. Anyway, so you have a very wise nature. You have a very youthful spirit. And so express those things. And what you express needs to come out of alignment with that, which they're saying is your reality, with your reality. So this is your reality. Your reality is this old, wise soul and this young, youthful, open to everything soul. So express those energies, express those things, and move through these other things by opening very intensely, like they were saying, by solidifying your energy field, so you're not allowing all these things to come in. And they're saying, you know, when you have solidified this area, then try to communicate with your guides again. But they're also showing me clearing. Oh gosh, that was the thing that they reminded that they said in the first reading that they're reminding me of. That's right. They were saying, since all of this energy developed over this lifetime, since this stuckness and now, you know, these thought forms as well, which were revealed in this reading, since they developed in this Native American lifetime, one of the things that your guides was saying was do anything that is familiar with that, you know. So smudging, this is a Native American thing. Ayahuasca, drumming was another thing that they came in with. That sound, sound healing, and the sound of drums, whether you are just listening to some really intense drumming as you're doing these meditations on your chakras, or also if you are going to a physical person who uses drums or uses crystal bowls, or even like the tuning forks, you know, that is a sound healer and will align your energies and open your chakras with sound. That was something they were very clear on, that sound will really help to remove these blocks also. And drumming specifically, since that is a Native American thing, but any of these other sounds, like I said, tuning forks, crystal bowls, whatever, this sound will really help you to clear this out. But they were also saying ayahuasca, the smudging, and anything Native American. And they also said, okay, so you were in a specific tribe, which they didn't say, and they still haven't really said. Now they're actually coming in with Cherokee, is what your guides were saying. Now what got me into that? What was I saying? I'm looking at the camera almost like you're there, and you can tell me what the heck I was saying. What was I saying? Okay, I don't remember what I was saying. Okay, so now I remember what it was. So your guides in the first reading, they didn't come through with, you know, what tribe or anything you were part of, and so they were just they were saying, you know, that it doesn't matter whether or not this specific tribe did these specific things exactly. It's that it still has this same current of energy, and so it's still familiar to this part of you. And so anything Native American, really, I mean, now we know it's Cherokee. They're specifically saying Cherokee, but anything Native American from any of the tribes, it really doesn't matter which. Any of them is going to help this energy flow out of you. Okay. Now, okay, I feel like almost Tabira wants to say something specific here, so I'm going to leave her out now. Again, an expression card is left out. If they say the same thing again, but they're saying the same thing in different ways, though, so it's not the exact same thing. It is somewhat interesting, but let's see here what they say. This is obviously very important to them if they keep repeating it. I'm going to get my selenite too. I'm going to switch these out. They like to switch sometimes. Oh, now this one wants to go somewhere too. Okay, he's going to come down here on the chair with me, or maybe it's a she. I don't know. Hi, buddy. Love my crystals. Okay. All right, so Tobira, what are you saying? It's, you know, 3 attempts on this reading, you know, so it's going to get a little crazy after a little while. After the 3rd attempt, I'm going to get a little kooky. All right. Anyway, what am I saying? Okay. All right, so first we have Mike the the Myomancer. And he is white, and my lighting is white, so you can't really see him that well. Oh, there he is. So Mike the Myomancer, and he is all about looking for signs, and then he's coming up here with Indy, the decision maker, and as you can see, he pulls two balls in his hand, and which one is the correct one, and he goes back and forth. So these two together, this is talking about how you you are getting these mixed messages, or like Mike the Myomancer says, signs from your guides. You're getting these messages of do this, and then a little bit later it's do that, and which one is the right one? Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to pull some more, and we're going to end up figuring out how Tobira plays into that. Okay, so okay, don't all fall out. But it would be great if one would, if one would fall out. That would be really nice. Because we're shuffling for a little while. It's almost out. Not quite though. No, this is just getting ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to cut the cards in a second if you guys don't make one just fall out. It's just almost over and over and over. Oh my goodness. Okay. Cut the deck. Okay. And you're getting the himself card. And he is the nature of the forest and male manifestation energy. But what he's saying here is there's going to be one that you feel more accurately than the others. So this is feeling based, and this is why we have the Tobira card here, Tobira of the waters, because she feels and she expresses what she feels, and so you can feel which one is more accurate. And I can tell you right now that with this, what you were saying, slow down, don't rush, hurry up, you gotta go. Generally speaking, okay, guides, I know that the council speaks against rushing all the time. Their message to me is always, calm down, relax. If I'm getting a little, it's like, don't stress about it, relax. And they feel calm. And what I've noticed is that the others don't feel calm, or they don't give a message that sounds calm. And so when I'm reading, I get back and forth messages of hurry up, or slow down, don't rush. Slow down, don't rush is really the obvious choice there. At least for me, since I'm familiar with mixed messages and accurate guides coming in and things like this. Hurry up is generally something a thought form would say, and the reason is because they want to feed off of your energy, and so they want to get you all nervous and hyped up and intense. Whereas your real guides are going to want to send you peace and peaceful messages and send you something that is calming and soothing. But yeah, there's going to be things that stick out to you, that stand out with you, and so you have to follow your gut, and you're learning to do this. So this can take some time. It takes practice, but it's what you're learning to do, to feel out charges, like charges of emotional intensities. Is that a guide coming in? How does it feel when the message is coming in, and what are they saying, and what they're saying make you feel? How does what they're saying make you feel? Okay. And then you have iris of the rainbows. Okay, so I'm getting a couple of different feelings from this card. One is to look at the situation again, like there's hope at the end of the tunnel, because that's what she's all about. She's all about the rainbow, which comes after the rain, and so she is about what comes after trouble, the harmony that comes after trouble. And again, to realize that's there. To what is happening to my screen. Thank you, computer, for popping up random screens. Okay, anyway. Right, yes. Tunnel. Yeah, again, they're saying this again. To see the light at the end of the tunnel, and also to understand that past, that is behind you. And so you're working your way through its energy now, but the light at the tunnel is coming up. It's sooner than later. It's sooner than it used to be. You are just feeling the after effects now. You're not in the actual storm. So she's saying that these are just some remaining clouds which will pass. So again, this is about expressing your divine intention of what do you want the outcome to be. And they're saying, is the cup half empty or is the cup half full? Okay, one more card. Okay, and you are getting ecstasis here. Now, this is kind of random that they are coming in with this. But what they're saying with this card is that um, I'm feeling like it's actually the one that I've been communicating with, which is this angel energy coming in. But there is a twin flame energy with one of your guides, and so this is what they're bringing up with this card. That one of these guides is actually your twin flame, and is your perfect match, and is with you in this lifetime. And so when you remove these toxic energies, you are going to come into a space where you are with this guide. But she's saying again that she hasn't left you. She's actually part of you. If she's a twin flame, this means that your souls are totally bonded. You're one soul in two expressions. So this soul, this part of your soul, and this guide has never left you and doesn't even have the ability to leave you. So she's saying not to feel abandoned or like she has left you. And she's also coming in with a mother energy also. And this might sound kind of odd to people, but I have read lives where a twin flame has not necessarily been the partner of the person. They can come in, but they're always close. They're always connected to the person. But even Wolf and myself, we've had lives where we were everything. We were siblings. We were husband and wife. We were friends that were close. We were, daughter and father or mother and son. So she's also coming in with an energy that you were actually her son in the lifetime, that she was your mother in a lifetime. And that's one thing that I noticed with lives in this way too. I'm not saying that it's impossible for them to come in as the same gender in a lifetime, but I've noticed that with Wolf and myself, even though I've had lifetimes where I was male, and even with him, I've had lives where I was male, but we're always switched. We're always opposite genders, even if we are just friends or we are siblings or related somehow. We always come in as opposites. So this is something she wants to come in with. She has a very soothing energy, a very calming energy, and a healing energy. So she's saying, so this is where she's giving me the feeling of your name that she gave me at the beginning, which was for the last reading, the first one, I mean. Healing heart. And so this is an energy that she provides. This is an energy that she comes in with a lot of love and comfort and healing coming to you from her. So she's saying to connect with her. And when you're connecting with her, you're not going to feel stressed or empty or alone. You're going to feel comforted. And it's going to be enjoyable as well. You're going to feel happy. You're going to feel joy. You're going to feel surrounded by joy and love and laughter when you're connecting with your true guides. Not only her, multiple, your true guides. That's the way that they're going to feel to you. So she's saying to look out for this feeling, and she's also saying that her specifically, she comes in with a female energy. So you're going to feel her as a loving, comforting female energy, and she will feel different from these things. You have a male guide as well, but you have male guides, and at least one other female guide also. Okay, so not only her. She comes in specifically with that energy. But other guides, the point is that they're going to feel high. They're going to feel joyful and not anything low. Okay, so our time is definitely up. So thank you so much for allowing me to do this reading for you. And I really hope that this benefits you and helps you with this clearing that needs to take place and will take place. Thank you.